What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, MLB DFS video. It is Friday. It is August 18th, and we are back with a full slate that hopefully will help you bring home the bacon. If you've never been here before, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We're going to have a full slate. So technically there's 16 games today. After a rain out yesterday, but the Detroit game is not on the main slate for whatever reason on DraftKings. So we have 15 total games. We have 2 early. We have 13 on the main slate. So we're going to go through it all. We're going to go through all the pitching. We're going to look at their historical matchups. We're going to look at their BVP. We're going to look at pretty much everything. We're going to go through pitching, hitting, and at the end of the video, or towards the end of the video, we do simulations for... We do 10,000 simulations for Fanduel and DraftKings players. In this video, I'm going to go through the top 10 batters and pitchers that the simulations like through 2,000 simulations. About an hour and a half before first pitch of the main slate, that's when we throw in the 10,000th simulation and go from there. So check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. That is on the website. If you have questions about anything, you can always ask here. We have a Discord channel. Link is in the description of this video. We have it all. If you need a little bit more help after the video, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com is your one-stop DFS shop. FTA Plus, we have a monthly pass, or you can check out the yearly pass using promo code NFLVIP. You're going to get $100 off right now, and the monthly pass will include MLB, MMA, NASCAR, NFL, and PGA. So, and NBA once NBA starts. So that being said, we're going to jump right into who the winner is from yesterday. So if you've never been here before, anytime we have a video that gets at least 50 likes, you leave a comment and you are a subscriber, you will have a chance to be chosen with YouTube Random Comment Picker to win a free week of DFS content. Anytime a video gets 100 likes, you have the same thing. You have a chance to win a free month. If a video gets 125 likes, you have a chance to win a free year. And if a video gets 150 likes, you have a chance to win a lifetime pass. So let's check out who the lucky winner is from yesterday's video. Congratulations, Pollock Hillbilly. The thing is, they have won multiple times. That is the thing. You can win multiple times as well. So if all of these videos get at least 100 likes and say he wins 3 days in a row, he wins 3 months for absolutely free, which is nuts because just by leaving a comment. So again, just let me know that you saw this and leave your username if you want on this video as your comment, or you can hit us up on email or Twitter because I can't quite remember your username and password, and we will get you set up with that free pass. And that's how easy it is, everybody. You just got to like the video, leave a comment so your name can possibly be chosen. So, that being said, a couple of early games. We're going to go over them. We've got the Royals at the Cubs. We've got Cole Reagans versus Jameson Taillon. Reagans, 5 plate appearances. The Cubs obviously hasn't seen him much versus Taillon, who's not really seen Kansas City bats much at all either. Come in here. You see a lot of these Detroit bats. I don't know why it's doing that. Like, I don't need to see all. I just need to see the probable pitchers, which it should remove probables. Let me pause this and get this ready. I don't know what's going on. All right, there we go. It's got these. So, looking at this, got Cole Reagans here. Game logs. Has really been starting just about 4 times through here. Mixed bag here. So not a good start against Tampa Bay. Really good start against the Mets. Really good start against Boston. Not a good start against St. Louis. Splits-wise, he's faced the Cubs this year. 2.1 innings, 1 hit allowed. So wasn't starting. That's out of the bullpen. So these numbers are kind of skewed because his numbers are here. They're not really starts. Overall, away games, he's got a worse ERA on the road. But he's got 1 start there. So it's a little bit skewed. You're going to see that a little bit. The Cubs have been hitting lefties too. So that's another thing that's kind of like, what are we going to get out of him? Then you got Jameson Taillon. So looking at Taillon here against Toronto. Okay, this is where I'll tell you. Between us and other DFS providers, they will go through whatever you want to go through, and they'll be like, you know what? Nah, we're not going to go over what we did last time. I will. We used Taillon against Toronto his last start because Toronto was striking out against righties quite a bit. He obviously got lit up. He gave up 8 earned runs in 3 innings. That's kind of what you're expecting out of him. He's had some good starts, but then he's gotten lit up. Like you can see, his first start, give up runs, hits. He's walking people, not striking out a ton. He's getting you those 22 fantasy points, but then he's getting you 10, then he's getting you minus. So looking at this, Kansas City's actually been putting up some runs lately, which is crazy to think about. Here, he's at home. He's got a worse ERA at home, depending on where the weather is and how the wind is blowing. This could be a disaster for him. But again, it's 2 games early if you're playing. You got to get a little bit creative with what you do with 4 pitchers to use. So just looking at the ballpark, the factors here today. As of now, the wind is blowing in considerably. So this could be a pitcher's duel, I guess, if you want to call it that. Or at least the ball could stay, supposedly, with the wind the way it's going, the ball should stay in the ballpark here. So you could get a bump in both of these pitchers, and because you've got to find something here, tournament-wise. And then if we look at the bats, so let's take a look at the bats in this game. And kind of see who's hot, who's not, who would we go with. So MJ Melendez has been absolutely on fire lately. We've used him when we've needed it, and he's come through. Nelson Velasquez has, I think, 4 home runs in his first four games or something like that. There was a stat I read yesterday. If he's in, I don't know if he'll be in, though. Garcia has been hitting pretty well lately. Bobby Witt Jr. has been absolutely on fire right now. Home runs, inside the Parkers, he's got speed. Perez, Massey. Those would be the ones that I'd use if I'm using the Kansas City bats against Taillon. If I'm using Cubs bats against Reagans here, Patrick Wisdom is hit or miss. He's going to either hit you a home run or he's not going to do anything for you. So he is more of a boomer bust tournament option. Chris Morel I would use, had that walk-off home run 2 nights ago or 3 nights ago. Suzuki maybe a little bit. Dansby Swanson's been everything the Cubs wanted him to be after signing him. Tauchman, I always like Tauchman if he's leading off, but he's got to be leading off. Cody Bellinger, it doesn't matter, lefty-righty matchup. I like Cody Bellinger there. So those would probably be maybe Candelario and Happ. So if I'm using anyone, I'm using from here down to here, and then Cody Bellinger. In this game anyway. So then that brings us to the Tigers at the Guardians. Tariq Skubal versus Gavin Williams. Skubal's faced 42 plate appearances, 231 batting average against him. Gavin Williams has never faced Detroit before. So kind of looking at this, well, this shows Matt Manning. So this game, Matt Manning is a 415. So this one's not in, but Gavin Williams is in. This one, be careful, guys. I don't know if it was switched late. I don't know. This is something it's early morning. So this is one I would definitely pay attention to because this is how you could get screwed. So let's say it is this game, but they have Manning here and switch. So if you were to use, if this game for whatever reason was the first one and you use Gavin Williams, you could get a goose egg here. So this is something to pay attention to. Honestly, I might avoid this early slate just because of how it's playing out right here. Skubal, it's showing him as a starter, so I don't know what to do. This one, we're going to skip this one because I don't want to give you guys a ton of information and dig into it, and we can't even use it because it's not on the slate. So this game's not on. This one's weird. So let's just avoid this one completely with these two teams because I don't know what starting pitcher we're actually going to get there, and that kind of scares me a little bit. So we'll get out of there. We'll go to main slate here. And we'll just get you a main slate. Hopefully refreshed. I don't know what that was. That's usually not like that. So that's what's weird. But we got 13 games on a main slate. And again, in the description of this video is our NFL Weekly League. It's a $10 buy-in per week, and we have 200 spots available. First come, first serve. If everyone signs up and we get 200 spots, the top 5 pay, and the top prize each week would be $580. So just link is in the description here. Okay. So, yeah, like Gavin Williams is here. The Detroit versus Cleveland game has been canceled from the 8/18, 7:05 Eastern game slate. So it's messed up what's happening right there. So we'll move on from that from now. So then we've got, Toronto and Cincy's not even on it either, are they? What is going on? Odd. We're going to skip that one. We're going to look at this one. We've got Phillies at the Nationals, Michael Lorenzen versus Joan Adon. Lorenzen coming off a no-hitter last week. Fantastic story. He's been absolutely buckets for us this season so far. 35 plate appearances, .033 batting average against the Nationals. And then Adon, 31 plate appearances, .308 batting average here. So, looking at this, Lorenzen's 9,200. I mean, he should be. He's, fantastic. This is the same exact team that he just no-hit. Whether or not it's going to be, indicative, or they just saw him, so they're going to be able to recognize pitches. I'm not going to say he's going to throw a no-hitter, but he's been fantastic. 23.8 against Miami. So his 2 starts for Philly has been amazing. His second one, obviously, was a no-hitter. Fantastic story. Like him again here. Probably not going to be probable of him hit another no-hitter, but, home games, he's pitching well. Away games, he's a little bit better, so he's on the road, and he goes into Washington, and we can feel pretty confident about that. That I like him a lot. 9,200, I'm okay with that price. Just don't want it to be, he had an few days of extra rest between his starts because he did throw 15, 20 pitches last time, or what was it? Threw 124 pitches last time and 100 before that. So hopefully he doesn't have a dead arm. Hopefully that doesn't affect him at all. But, few extra days rest, we could be in store for another great pitching out of him. The wind, as of now, is blowing in, so that is a plus to Michael Lorenzen. And then I wouldn't use Adon here. I don't like how all of these pitchers are on here. So he is starting. He's pretty much an opener. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. 3 innings here, 6 there, 2, 3. So yeah, going to be a starter, but he started against Oakland last time, only went 3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, and then they pulled him. So you're not using him. You would definitely be using the Phillies bats, though, for sure. I would use the Phillies bats. So looking at the Phillies bats that I would use, it doesn't matter. It's going to be anyone. Schwarber, I don't mind, even though I saw a stat where Schwarber is batting like 160 on the year, and he's ranked, however far down he is, but then he's ranked in like OBP, home runs. He's having a really weird day. So basically, if Schwarber doesn't hit a home run, he's not doing much. But he's an option. Bryce Harper's kind of coming on. We had him in our lineup 2 nights ago, hit a home run for us, or was it last night? Came through for us. No, Phillies didn't play yesterday. Trey Turner's kind of been coming on strong. Alec Bohm I would use. JT Realmuto I would use. Castellanos I would use. Flip side of that, there's really no Washington bats that I want. If you're using any, Lane Thomas, Keibert Ruiz, C.J. Abrams, maybe, but yeah, I won't be using Washington. If I'm playing this game, I'm playing Lorenzen and the Phillies bats here. And I want nothing to do with Adon or the Nationals. Red Sox at the Yankees, Brian Bayo versus to be announced, which makes sense. So yeah, you got Bayo, not to be confused with Scott. Where is he? No, he's not. These aren't even starters. Where's the probable? This is dumb. I don't like this. Brian Bayo going into New York. Not a good start against Detroit, which we used him because those are fantastic. That was a fantastic matchup for him. 4.2 innings, 4 earned runs, 5 Ks. Splits-wise, he's faced the Yankees twice this year. 14 innings pitched, 7 hits allowed, 3 earned runs, and 11 Ks. The way the Yankees are playing right now, they've lost 5 in a row. Their offense has looked absolutely trash. Don't be surprised if he has a good game. That's the thing. Game log-wise, did he... Okay, so it was in Boston here where he went 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 8 Ks. And then start before that, he had 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. So, yeah, I'm probably using Bayo here. At 8,500, he's a pretty decent option for you. And Yankees, it's looking like Brito might be the starter. Let's see. I don't like that. Okay, so according to here, it's Brito, but I don't know. I love how this isn't working. Absolutely just trash. Maybe a little bit of Brito here, depending if they fix their server or whatever's going on. I would use a little bit of Brito, but I'd more use Bayo for sure. But then we could dig in here. We can kind of see Yankee Stadium. The wind is blowing out. It's hot. It's humid. That gives a stat padding to home run chances here. So, yeah, Devers. Don't be surprised if Devers hits a home run. Tristan Casas has been on fire for us. Duran has been on fire. Justin Turner. Maybe Yoshida I would use. Those would probably be the ones that I'd use. And if you're not using Bayo and you want to go Yankees, Judge, I don't mind. Stanton, if he plays the outfield, I like him better when he plays the outfield. Bowers, I guess. LeMahieu's kind of back on. Billy McKinney, Gleyber Torres, Volpe. There are rumors that the Yankees might call up Everson Pereira and Austin Wells today, because they have nothing to lose. If that is the case and they are added to the roster during the day, Pereira would be a fantastic option. A very, very cheap option, but a fantastic option. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if those are just rumors. So that's definitely something to look at. But just depends on what lineup the Yankees decide to trudge out there. They really need to change something up. They need to just call all the kids up. But probably leaning more towards Red Sox stack and Bayo over the Yankees and Brito. Giants at the Braves, Alex Cobb versus Spencer Strider. Don't really need to talk about anything. I would go Spencer Strider. He's expensive. We know he's expensive, but we pretty much know what we're going to get out of here. He's 12,700 game logs. Yeah, with his price, you're hoping for at least 30 plus. He might be, but he's got a great matchup here against San Francisco. Hasn't faced them this year. Home games, he is a little bit worse at home though. I don't know. He might be priced too high for me. To be honest with you, he might be priced too high at 12,700. I think a lot of people are going to be on him. I might stay clear just because of his price. I love his matchup, but he's got to get at least like 30 to 35 fantasy points to pay off his price. If he could do that, if you're one that makes multiple lineups, I would look at that. And then, yeah, every single Braves bat. We don't really need to talk about it. We'll look at it, but I'm not looking at San Francisco bats at all. I'm looking at Braves, Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Murphy, Ozuna. Riley really let us down the other day, though. Michael Harris, Eddie Rosario's been absolutely on a tear, at least at the Yankees matchup there. So, yeah, that's what I would look at. Nicky Lopez as well would be a cheap option for the Braves, just depending on what lineup comes out there. But if you make multiple lineups, Strider could be in one of them. He's just kind of expensive. I'm a little bit weary on that, but nothing against it. And I'm not looking at Cobb, and I'm not looking at the Giants bats at all. Brewers at the Rangers, you got Brandon Woodruff versus Andrew Heaney. Woodruff, 15 plate appearances, so not much. Heaney, 63, so kind of in the middle there. So looking at Woodruff, he's the second highest priced pitcher on the slate. Game logs, you've seen all he's done since coming back from the IL in 2 starts, 22.9, 20.7. This will be his 5th start of the year, so these numbers are skewed here. Hasn't faced Texas this year, and like I said, hasn't really faced him much. And Texas is really good. It's in Texas, and for his price, I don't know if I want to pay up $10,900 in this matchup, which is crazy to think about that he is priced this high against one of the best teams of the year, which is crazy. So yeah, if I'm looking at this game, Haney on the other hand, we used him his last start. He let us down considerably. Game logs, 1.1 innings, 1 earned run, 0 fantasy points, 2 walks. I don't know. So he was under the weather. He missed his bullpen, and then he was sick and on a short leash. But that didn't come out in the news before we used him at his price of $8,600. So thanks a lot, Bruce Bochy. Whether or not that factored into anything, I don't know. Maybe throw Andrew Haney in there. Maybe he had the flu, his tummy bug. Haney, I think he's going to be on a lot of people's list because of this number right here. Maybe they don't read this and they go from there. We know Haney's been pretty decent this year. Splits-wise at home, he's a little bit better at home, 4.13. But he is giving up home runs. It is hot and humid. The ball will fly out of there if it needs to. And looking at the stadium right now, it's a dome. It's probably going to be closed. It doesn't really have any factor. This could be a pitcher's game here. I'd rather take Haney and probably the Texas bats. I'm just not paying. I'm not paying up for Woodruff. The few bats that I would use for the Milwaukee Brewers, if you're not going with Haney, would be Yelich. William Contreras against the lefties, always a fantastic option. Maybe a little bit of Carlos Santana, but he's got more blue than red. And then if I'm looking at Rangers bats, I'm looking at Seager, Adolis Garcia, Mitch Garver if he starts, but I don't think he's going to. Jonah Heim's actually back. I do like Jonah Heim. Nate Lowe, Duran I would look at, Simeon, and maybe a little bit of Robbie Grossman too. But those would be what I'd look at in this game. Mariners at Houston, Bryce Miller versus JP France. France, I think, is coming off a pretty good game, right? There's Brito. I don't know why it didn't show up when I typed his name in. Let's see. Bryce Miller going up against Houston. Game log, his last start against Baltimore, 5.2 innings, 2 runs, 1 of them earned, only 2 strikeouts. Time before that against the Angels had 10 strikeouts. He's been up and down here. 4.04 ERA here. Splits, he has faced Houston once this year. Went 6 innings, 2 hits allowed, no earned runs, 5 Ks, got 25.7 fantasy points. Was that in Houston or was that in Seattle? That was at home in Seattle. So home-wise, he is better at home, 3.29, compared to on the road in 7 starts, 5.16. I think all signs would point to look at Houston bats in this one. And then JP France, we did not use him his last start, I don't believe. He went 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, 22.8 at 8,400. Now he's up 300. He's faced Seattle once this year, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, no earned runs, 5 Ks, 18.3. That would be perfect. 18.3 at 8,700 would be perfect. And if you've been following along, you guys kind of know that any of the players, mostly as a team, any of the players combined this year since the All-Star break for Seattle, it's been slumping. Yesterday is an exception. I believe Julio went 5 for 5, right? I think he dominated yesterday. Yeah, he had 36. So against Kansas City, he's been on fire. He had 36 fantasy points again yesterday, 5 for 5, a double and a home run, 5 RBIs. Absolutely crushed it at 5,800. Now he's 5,500. Splits-wise, yeah, you can see away games. He's batting 280 on the road. He's averaging more there. But he's played 7 games against the Astros this year. In 31 at-bats, he has 1 home run, but he has 8 strikeouts. So looking at this, he's been absolutely on fire. I I don't know if I'd use either pitcher here, to be completely honest. I think I'd use the offenses. I think that's where I would go in this game. We'll look real quick just to kind of see. Yeah, Julio's been on fire. Eugenio Suarez has been pretty good for us. Teoscar Hernandez has been good. Maybe a little bit of Dylan Moore. The big dumper, Cal Raleigh, I believe, has back-to-back games with home runs. We could look at him. Maybe a little bit of Ty France. And then, obviously, Yordan Diaz, if he starts. Kyle Tucker, I would use. John Singleton would be a cheaper option. Chas McCormick. Jose Altuve. I think those would be the bats for Houston that I would use. I don't know if I'll have either exposure. Maybe a little bit of France because of how bad the Mariners are. But they've been putting up some runs lately, so if you want to go with recency bias or not, that's something to look at. Pirates at the Twins, you got Andre Jackson versus Pablo Lopez. Andre the Giant Jackson here. I don't like how this is set up. It's really messed up today. Thanks a lot. Game logs, yeah. Not going deep into games. Wouldn't use him. Not using him at all. Pablo Lopez, on the other hand, I am using him. He's coming off a great game. He's the third highest priced pitcher on the slate. He's got a great matchup against, coming off of two really good games. One was against Philly, one was against Detroit. Now he's facing Pittsburgh, which is a good matchup for him. Home games, he's got a 4.71 ERA, so he is worse at home, but he does have a good matchup against the Pirates. So in this, I'm not using Jackson. I would use Pablo. And then the bats-wise, just depending on who's out there, who's coming. Again, go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com because we have a ton of information that we're not even covering in these videos because they'd be too long. We have our player projections after 10,000 simulations. We've got our DFS batter splits, which is we didn't even cover that. So that's something to look at if you're into BVP. Some people are, some people aren't. Check that out. The DFS stolen base targets, that is a big thing for prop bets and see what pitchers give up some stolen bases. Our contrarian stacks helps you build lineups against the field. Our cheat sheet, which includes our weather tab and optimal lineups, are on there as well. Our prop bets include pitcher and hitter prop bets according to the sports books, both Fanduel and DraftKings, and our favorite bets in that one as well. So we've got a lot going on the site. So then we check this out. I'm probably not using any of the Pirates' bats. If I were, it would be Reynolds, Sawinski, Hayes. That's probably it. Maybe Connor Joe. And then the Twins' bats I'd use. Joey Gallo's obviously only a tournament option. He's home run or strikeout 5 times a game. Kepler, Solano I would use. Ryan Jeffers maybe a little bit. Just depends if he's in the starting lineup. Edward Julian I would use, or Julian Carlos Correa is another one I would use in this one. But that's pretty much it. I'm going Lopez and some Minnesota bats. Mets at the Cardinals, to be announced versus Zach Thompson. Let's see. Yeah, and just looking at this, so far the weather, it looks like it's going to hold up in every game. But White Sox at Colorado, so that's definitely something to look at. But, so Thompson here. Game logs, 4 innings. He's not going much out of the bullpen because apparently Steven Matz is now on the IL. So, Thompson is slated in there. Whether or not he's going to go deeper into games, we'll see. But he's actually had a couple of good starts, 4 innings here, 5 Ks, 8 Ks. Cheap option at 5,600, especially against the Mets. I mean, he allows you to do a lot here. At that price, that allows you to do so much when you're building through there. So use that information as you will. If it looks like it's Joey Lucchesi, according to DraftKings right now, if it's Joey Lucchesi and you want to go with some bats here, I would look at Tyler O'Neill. I would look at Nolan Arenado. I would look at Goldie. Maybe Lars Nootbaar if he's in. If he's not hurt still, I don't believe he played yesterday. So that is what I would look at. So it would be the big righty bats against Lucchesi if it is, in fact, actually Lucchesi pitching for the Mets. And looking at this Busch Stadium, the wind is blowing in, so it could be a pitcher's thing. So I would definitely look at Zach Thompson here and then I would look at the Cardinals bats if I'm going that direction in this game. White Sox at the Rockies. I don't want to use the pitchers here because it is Colorado. If I were to use a pitcher, it would be Michael Kopech, but this would be where I'd look at the bats. So I know Eloy was day-to-day. If I'm looking at the bats here, for the White Sox, I would look at Luis Robert. I would look at Eloy. Andrew Vaughn would be the ones I'd look at. If I'm looking at the Rockies bats against Kopech, because it is Colorado, so the ball does fly out of there. Looking at Coors right now, the wind is blowing every which direction. It's hot and humid there. It is a plus matchup for home runs, extra base hits, and runs scored there. So I would look at Ryan McMahon. You could look at Brendan Rodgers. You could look at Charlie Blackmon, Elias Diaz as well here. But we're not going to dig into this because you're not going to use pitchers in Colorado. Next game, Rays at the Angels. You got Erasmo Ramirez versus Tyler Anderson. So looking at this, Ramirez, normally a bullpen guy, game logs, 1 inning, 3.1. So yeah, you're going to get, not much out of him. Splits-wise, he's faced the Angels 1 inning this year, 1K. So, nothing. Now he's pitching, and these are going to be skewed because he's got one start on the road, 6.64 ERA. Honestly, don't mind the Angels' bats a little bit, which is crazy to think about. But let's take a look at the Angels' bats here. But who is pitching? So Tyler Anderson's another one. So we look at Tyler Anderson. I don't like how DraftKings is today. Game logs, not much against you. It's Houston though, and we stacked Houston against him, and it worked out. Seeing if he hasn't faced Tampa Bay this year. He's pitching at home. He's got a little bit better ERA at home, but again, it's still 4.8. Probably not taking pitching in this. Probably taking bats. Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena, Luke Raley, I would look at. Harold Ramirez, I would look at. Maybe Jose Siri and Isaac Paredes here. But if I'm taking Angels, obviously I'm looking at Shohei. I would look at Brandon Drury. Maybe Grichuk and maybe Moustakas, just depending. But I would focus on Tampa Bay bats over either of these pitchers. Then you got Kyle Gibson versus the Athletics versus to be announced. That would be a fantastic matchup for Gibson. So looking at Kyle Gibson, it looks like maybe Luis Medina, but I would look at Gibson here, coming off a bad start against Cincinnati. He's faced Oakland once this year, 6.1 innings, 1 earned run, 4 Ks. I want to see if that was in Oakland or at home. That was at home, which had a good start. Now it's a pitcher's park. He's had success against this team. I would look at Kyle Gibson at 8,200. You're going to save some money here. You're going to save some money for sure using him. Probably has a better plus matchup than Strider at that price. I don't like Woodruff. But yeah, that's who I would look at here. And then the Orioles bat. So if it is Medina, we don't know if it is. It's not confirmed yet, which is crazy because it's day of now. But sure, let's not confirm it at all. But we'll look at these bats. I'm not using any Oakland bats. I'm using 100% Baltimore if I'm using anything. Gunnar Henderson, O'Hearn for tournaments, Ryan Mountcastle I would use, Santander, Cedric Mullins, Adley Rutschman. Those would be the ones that I'd use there. And I'm not looking at any Oakland bats at all. Get out of here, Oakland. Then we got the Diamondbacks at the Padres. You got Brandon Pfaadt versus Seth Lugo. Pfaadt's faced 27 plate appearances against San Diego, 360 batting average, and then Lugo 66 plate appearances, 246. So we look at this. Looking at his numbers overall, not a bad start against this same team his last start, which was at home. Now it's in San Diego, which is a pitcher's park. In there, he went 5.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 8 Ks. If he could get that again, I would like that. He's only 6,000. If he could limit the runs to either none or maybe 1 or 2, it would be even better. But he has a good matchup. He's faced them before, and now he's in a better ballpark to face them. Problem is his splits-wise, well, he actually is a little bit better on the road. It's still 5.48 on the road. Overall ERA of 6.92. Not what you'd like out of him, but at 6,000, and if he could replicate what he did, and you use another pitcher that was at less than 6,000, could build out a pretty good lineup with this. So I don't mind that, to be completely honest with you. And then Seth Lugo, I believe his last start was the same thing against Arizona. And we actually stacked Arizona against him. Didn't work out the best. He went 5.1 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 Ks. We didn't use him. He only got 11.1. Splits-wise, he's faced Arizona twice this year. This will be his third time. He's given up 12 total hits, 4 earned runs, and he's averaging 14.2 fantasy points per game, which I wouldn't use here. I wouldn't use him here. Home games, he's actually worse at home, even though it's at Pitcher's Park, in 2 less starts. So those numbers aren't ideal. Probably looking at Arizona bats here, but we could look at them. Let's check it out real quick. So you got Arizona bats. Ketel Marte was in almost all of my home run parlays yesterday, and then he didn't start. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know what's going on. We used Tommy Pham against the lefty at a home run to start the game out. I would use Tommy Pham. I would use Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, Moreno helped us. I would use Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Christian Walker here. And then if you're not going with Fat and you're going with San Diego bats, Juan Soto against a righty I would use. Tatis I would use. Trent Grisham I would use. Bogarts and Cronenworth and maybe a little bit of Kim I would use there as well. And then that brings us to our final game. You got Miami versus the Dodgers. You got Sandy Alcantara, who's coming off a complete game shutout against the Yankees, but that's not saying much, versus Tony Gonsolin and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Overall, Alcantara's faced 115 plate appearances of the Dodgers, 252 batting average. Gonsolin, 20 plate appearances, 222 batting average there. So looking at this, we got Alcantara, 4th highest priced pitcher on the slate at 9,600. He's 1,000 more because, again, he gave up 1 earned run. 9 innings, 1 earned run, 10 Ks in that game. The Yankees allowed him to turn back the clock and look like an actual Cy Young pitcher, which hasn't been hard to do for the Yankees offense this year. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced LA this year, but he's faced them a ton. Away games, he's actually worse on the road, and it's really hard to take a pitcher against this Dodgers team right now. And at his price, I don't know if I could afford 9,600 and feel confident about it. And then we got Tony Gonsolin here. Let's find out where he is through this mess of all of these pitchers that aren't pitching. Comes in, 4.24 ERA, 8-4 record, only 80 strikeouts. Game logs, pretty good game against Colorado, but it's Colorado, 25.7. And that's basically his best start of the year, I believe. Nope, he had a good start against the White Sox, and then a good start against San Diego. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Miami this year. Pitching at home, 4.26 compared to 4.23, so very similar. It doesn't really matter if he's home or away. At home, he has more strikeouts in 1 more start, giving up 2 more home runs. I don't know. At 8,000, maybe throw him in tournaments, but these Miami bats have actually been decent when we've used them. So if you're not going with either of these pitchers, you want to look at the bats in this game. Let's take a look real quick. Yeah, Jake Berger's been absolutely everything that Miami would like since acquiring him at the deadline. Jesus Sanchez, I don't mind. Jazz, I don't mind. Soler hits absolute missiles. Brian De La Cruz, I would look at. Josh Bell has been on one of the best post-deadline tears that I've seen after someone gets traded. They traded for a person, and he's doing exactly what they traded for. And then the flip side of that, the Dodgers bats, they're amazing for a reason. Mookie leading off, I wouldn't be surprised, hitting a home run. I would look at JD Martinez, although I like him a little bit more against lefties. Max Muncy, I would look at. David Peralta for a little bit. Freddie Freeman, obviously batting over 300 against both lefties and righties. Freeman's been amazing. I would look at him. Maybe a little bit Ahmed Rosario. Maybe some James Outman, but not much. And there you have it, guys and gals. That is it. That is the breakdown. That is all of the games on the slate. Those are the bats. Those are the pitchers. Those are the breakdowns. Like I said, if you're still here, we're going to go over the top 10 batters through 2,000 simulations. Now, this will change a little bit. We'll do 10,000 at the end of the day. So we're going to do the top 10 bats and then the top 10 pitching on the slate for you. So let's go. We've got number 1 is Ronald Acuna against Alex Cobb. We got Shohei Ohtani versus Erasmo Ramirez. We got Nolan Jones versus Michael Kopech. We got Ryan McMahon versus Michael Kopech. We got Riley Green against Xavier Curry, or whoever the starter is. It really depends, however the games are made. We got Matt Olson versus Alex Cobb. We got Michael Harris the second versus Alex Cobb. We got Josh Bell versus Tony Gonsolin. We got Julio versus Ty France. We got Austin Riley versus Cobb, and Elias Diaz versus Kopech. So I wanted to give 11 there because that shows the first 2,000 iterations of an Atlanta stack of 4 players, a Colorado stack of 3 players. So that's who it. So it really loves Atlanta. I mean, I think it's going to love Atlanta every single game the rest of the year, the way they've been playing. But those are the top 11 bats so far. Again, if you want to check out the rest, you got to go to FTA Plus and sign up to see the 10,000 simulations. But then pitcher-wise, all right. And then the top pitchers, according to the 2,000 simulations that we've done so far: Spencer Strider against San Francisco, Pablo Lopez against Pittsburgh. We've got Gavin Williams versus Detroit, but I don't know if we'll be able to use this one. Then it has Sandy Alcantara versus LA, Andrew Heaney versus Milwaukee, Jameson Taillon versus Kansas City, Michael Lorenzen versus Washington, and Cole Ragans versus the Chicago Cubs. And there you have it, guys and gals. Everything we've covered, 42 minutes worth, batters, pitchers, weather, everything. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, get those down below. We will try to answer them. If you have any other questions you don't want to ask on here, you can hit us up on Twitter at @advisors_team, or you can email us dfshelp1@gmail.com. That's all we've got. Good luck on this slate, and we will be back for hopefully a fantastic Saturday slate. Let's bring home some bacon, everybody. Peace!